Coming up on this episode, I talk about simplifying life, why this tends to be my approach, and what I gain from doing it this way, and how hopefully it can benefit your life to take a similar approach. So let's get into it. What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I want to talk about simplifying life. Now, it's easy for everybody, especially myself included, to feel overwhelmed at times. And the easiest approach, or the best approach I found in life, is to simplify things whenever it gets complicated. Because look, inevitably, you can only ever tackle one thing at a time. So no matter how much you've got on, you can only address one issue at a time. So why focus on any more than that? Once you start focusing on a single thing, it's easier to feel less overwhelmed, because the likelihood is any one task isn't going to be untackleable, if that's a word. But it is going to give you a starting point. And like I've said before on this, you need to start somewhere. And even if that starting point is something small, often for me it is. Those small things are the ones that are achievable when you're feeling low and when you ain't got much energy. But when you start knocking them off, that gives you a mental boost that will push you forward. So by simplifying things and focusing on one thing, you actually make yourself far more productive than trying to spread yourself thin and trying to do everything at once and getting overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff that you have to do. Because again, inevitably, you can only ever do one thing at a time. So being overwhelmed with it all at once, it's uncalled for lack of a better way of saying it, because you're not dealing with it all at once. You're dealing with one thing at a time, whether you realize it or not. But the thing is, we all live in that state more often than not these days. I think everybody lives in a state of constant anxiety. Again, I've spoken about that before. But it all calms down once you start simplifying things. Like, how did I say it to somebody before? So if we was to dial the clock back to, say, hunter-gatherer times, your levels of anxiety would go up and down. In times of scarcity, or when you need to go find food, forage, hunt, whatever it is, your anxiety levels would increase. That would cause you to react. You'd go out and hunt, forage, blah, 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 blah. You'd come back, your levels of anxiety would go down. And then the cycle would repeat. But the thing is, these days, everybody has so much hanging over their head, so many stresses, so many things that are deemed important in life that they need to focus on, or they need to achieve or attain, that it's easy to lose sight of the fact that none of it really equals your happiness. Like, the happiness starts with you. Do you open your eyes and close your eyes at night to a happy soul? Do you look forward to the next day? And simple things like that. Not what watch do you wear, what car do you drive, what house do you live in. That's all superficial stuff. And I think everybody's witnessed somebody either in one extreme or the other that is the complete opposite of what you would presume. I.e., they would see somebody with all of the proverbial riches, the house, the car, the relationships, the materialistic stuff, and they're unhappy. But then they would see somebody sleeping on the streets or living a simple life in nature, and they're perfectly content and happy. And like I said before, everybody's happiness is going to be different. But the reality is, the happiness is out there if you look for it. But you just have to first define your happiness and then start making the simple steps towards it. Even if you did want to go into like a sustainable lifestyle, you wouldn't start off with that sustainable process. You'd have a lot of time of discomfort and getting prepared and learning the ropes, and to get to that point of being able to be self-sufficient. But it would always start with the basic core fundamentals of survival. Once you take care of those, then you can focus in on everything else. But the thing is, that's a simple life. Modern life, it's not simple. And it's not because it doesn't have to be simple. It's overcomplicated by people. The reason it's overcomplicated by people is because they can benefit off the confusion, of the chaos. If they can benefit off it, they will use it. So you've got to play a smart game. The whole part of that smart game is making calculated moves. You make those moves slowly. You think about and you're methodical with what you do, and you tackle it one thing at a time. Because again, you can't do more than that. I mean, you might be able to pat your head and rub your tummy at the same time, but it doesn't go much beyond that. I wonder how many people are trying that right now. But that's the inevitable thing is, you're only going to be able to deal with one thing at a time. And that one thing that you deal with is probably not going to be the biggest thing on the list, but it will lead to it. Now, that process of simplifying things, you can spin onto any aspect of life. You can boil down friendships, work, whatever. Like any aspect of life, you can boil down to its fundamentals. And that's where, for me anyway, I understand it a lot better. Like, little things. Just understanding why you want certain people in your life or want certain things in your life. Just understanding the reason behind it. Not just, oh, it's nice, it's shiny, they're nice, or they make me feel good, or they make me laugh, or whatever. But the fundamental reason why you want whatever it is in your life. And sit with it and really deep it. And see how many things in your life don't actually have deep meaning. And how many things in your life that you could let go of that would make your life a lot easier to walk through. Again, we're sold so many things and we're told you need this, that and everything else for happiness. But then there's always going to be a new product. There's always going to be a new service. There's always going to be a new thing. There's the thing that's going to give you the happiness. But it's never going to solve it. Everybody's happiness is different. Everybody's happiness is unique. So start simple and focus on one thing at a time and build it up slow. Find your happiness. I think that's what all of us are trying to do through life. But I'm going to wrap this episode up there, I think, because I don't want to go in circles. The seed for this episode is going to be question your intentions. Just ask yourself what you intend to do with your life. It could be a simple answer or it could be a complex one. Don't rush the answer, just let it sit with you. Just ask yourself, what do you want to do within this lifetime? That's it, really. Sit with that question. And any of you feel up to it, comment it below. But I know for me, if I can close my eyes for the final time, knowing that I left this world a bit of a better place than I found it, that's a life well lived to me. Anyway, all the best, and I'll catch you on the next one.